Welcome back to Learn Academic English. In today's video, I'm going to give you a short pronunciation lesson about the H sound in English. I'm going to talk about how to make the H sound, how it might be different from H in your language. We'll look at some common H words, and then I will show you some tricky spelling and pronunciation rules where the H is silent. Before we get started, I would like to ask you to please give this video a like and make sure that you're subscribed. And I love to engage with my viewers in the comments, so please don't forget to leave a comment below. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate your support. So let's start with how to make the H sound in English. The H is a voiceless sound, so that means that when you make the H, you can practice with putting your fingers on your throat and make sure that there's no vibration in the vocal cords when you say H. The other thing that you want to notice is that there is a very soft friction between the tongue and the throat. So you're not going to hear, it's not a really scratchy sound. It's not voiced. It's not made super far back in the throat. It's just a soft. So it is audible. You should be able to hear it, but it's not a strong H sound like you might find in some other languages. The next thing you want to think about with H is that you want to pay attention to how it is the same and different from H in your first language. So think about H in your first language. What does it sound like? Does it sound the same as the in English? And how is it spelled? This is especially important for people who speak languages where the H has a different spelling, because you're going to need to pay attention to how the H is spelled in English, or how that spelling might be different so you don't get confused. For example, Spanish speakers, the H letter is silent and the H sound is spelled with a J. So just be sure that you don't use that same spelling pattern when you are learning English. For example, the sound ha ha ha, like a laughing sound, in English we spell it H-A-H-A, but Spanish speakers will spell that J-A-J-A. And if you are a Spanish speaker who is learning English and you want to say ha ha ha, you're going to change it to the H letter, H-A-H-A. For speakers of Portuguese, the H is tricky because the H has a very different spelling in Portuguese. So in Portuguese, the H letter is also silent, but the H sound is spelled with an R in some cases, and that can be confusing. So pay attention, Portuguese speakers, that you are careful with this, because in Portuguese, if you have a word that begins with an R, the R sounds like an H, but in English, the R never sounds like an H. For speakers from Italy and Afghanistan, also can be tricky. What I've noticed with some English learners from Italy and Afghanistan is that the H letter in English will be dropped, or the H sound will be added to a word that does not have an H. So let me give you a couple of examples. For the word hair, spelled with an H, sounds like an H, hair. But speakers from these countries might drop that H and say air. The opposite also happens where we have a word like ace or egg, and the H is added, like hace or hague. And this is very confusing for English speakers, because if we hear an H, we must see an H in the spelling. And be careful that you don't add an H where we don't have one, and that you don't drop H's, because both of those situations can be confusing for English speakers if they are listening to you. So let's look at some common H words. Heat, head, how, house, him, her, 100, hostage, hook, humor, hair. To make matters more complicated, we have some words that look like those other words with H at the beginning, but the H is silent. And these you just have to memorize. There aren't very many of them. One of them is honor. Honor. So honor, the H is not pronounced. We don't say honor. It was an honor to work with you on this project. Hour. We need to leave within the next hour. Heir. Prince Charles is the heir to the throne. Honest or honesty. Don't say honest, honest. Honesty is the best policy. Herb. Now this one is actually tricky because in British English they say herb, but in American English we say herb, herb. I have a lot of herbs in my garden. Vehicle. So this is an example of a word that has H in the middle of the word, but the H is dropped, it's silent. Vehicle. Where is your vehicle parked? Exhausted. Exhausted. After working all day, he was exhausted. And there are a few spelling rules where H is not pronounced. One of them is when we have GH. When we have GH, the G is pronounced, but the H is not. There are not many words like this. Ghost, ghetto, aghast. RH, rhinoceros, rhubarb, rhyme, rhythm. Of course, TH, it's pronounced in a different way. The H is not pronounced. Another one is CH. In some words, the CH sounds like a K. So the H in these words is not pronounced as an H. Psychology, scheme, choir, chorus, echo, and stomach. Another one is when we have GHT in words like light, right, and height. So that's about it for H in English. If you have questions, please let me know in the comments below, or let me know how H is the same or different in your first language. I would love to know. Take care, and I'll see you next time.